Hey, what it do, y'all? It's your boy E2 Blue coming back at you again, and free agency frenzy is continued, right? So we've been talking about all the activity that's been going on today, and all the teams has been teams making trades. It's been just players just getting signed out of nowhere. The biggest trade that I saw today that really got me was uh DeAndre Hopkins getting traded to the Cardinals, and I'm just like, what? You give up a Pro Bowler? I don't get that. But anywho, I wonder what Eastside Herald has to think about that. Anyway, so in Dallas Cowboy news, we lost Byron Jones. Now I know some of you are like, hey, whatever, I didn't care. Look, I cared to a certain point because, I've talked about this before about Byron, and I said, look, he may not have got a lot of interceptions in his career, but I'm telling you, the guy is solid. He doesn't get burned. He's always in the play. He's batting down balls and stopping guys from scoring touchdowns. Like, granted, everybody gets scored on every once in a while, but the fact of the matter that he doesn't get scored on that often says a lot about him and what he's capable of doing. Now, I kind of wanted to see what he can do with this new regime and with Mike Nolan and the secondary coaches we have with Marquise Linguist and Al Harris. Now, we know that our old defense was just old school. It was just one way. We didn't make adjustments, and we just got gashed a lot. But one thing that did not change was the solid ability of Byron Jones. He has always been that guy in the backfield, just back there doing things for the Dallas Cowboys. And granted, it's not getting turnovers and picks, but he is batting the ball down, and he's living to see another day to get the ball back to our offense. Because, getting interceptions and pick sixes is a sexy thing. So I can name a lot of cornerbacks in the league right now to get picks, but they suck in coverage. They get burned all day long. Byron Jones is not one of those guys. Hold on one second. Yeah, Byron Jones is not one of those guys. So as we look at his play, I mean, it depends on what you're grading it on. I'm more of a guy that grades on the overall ability. Now, I don't care if you get a lot of picks, but you have to play well in coverage. Like, you look at Janoris Jenkins, he gets burned a lot. He gets interceptions because he jumps routes a lot. He takes chances. But what happens when you take chances? Sometimes you get mollywopped. Same thing with Josh Norman. He was in a system that hid him when he was with the Panthers, and everybody thought he was just all world corner. And then he gets to the Redskins and he gets exposed. And then what happens? He gets burned. He gets stiff armed by Dak Prescott. So you got to look at the whole book on a player when you're talking about what to pay him, when you're talking about what his value is, and how can you replace his production, right? So now that Byron Jones is not here anymore, he got signed to the Miami Dolphins today, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But you just look at the overall ability, and it's like now you got a big hole to fill. You either got to go get Chris Harris from the Broncos because what he already tweeted he wanted to be a Dallas Cowboy, but what are you gonna do? Now, Byron Jones was our number one draft pick in 2015 out of UConn. He was originally a cornerback. That's what he was drafted at. But no, Jason Garrett and company and this defensive coaching staff wanted to switch his position and wanted to make him a safety because of need, because he had position flex, because he got the Guinness record of high jump in the damn combine that year. And we look at those tangibles and we're just like, okay, he just has the prototype of a safety, but he played corner. Now, granted, like, he could probably play both ways, but he was a better corner than he ever was a safety. So coming to an NFL team from the collegiate level, first of all, you're new to the whole NFL scene. So you got to get used to that. Then you have to not unlearn what you did, but you have to unthink like a corner, because corner and safety is not the same thing, just so you guys know. I hate when people be like, well, he's a corner, he can also play safety. No, it doesn't work that way. It does not work that way. There's I had to explain that in a whole nother video, because it's football jargon, and some of you that never played the game, you probably wouldn't understand. But what I'm saying is, it's not the same thing. You don't play it the same way. So you're thinking like a corner because that's what you were playing in college. Whether you've done safety before or not, you still have to act accordingly when you come to the NFL. He's fighting for a roster spot. I mean, granted, he didn't have to fight much because he was a first-round pick, but at the same time, you look at his production as a cornerback and what he did in college, and then you're like, okay, we're going to move him to safety, so now I got to learn this, and then now you want to move me back to corner, and then I have to figure that out again. But I feel like the most production he made with the Cowboys was when he was a corner. And, Cowboy fans, we get so enamored by the looks of things. Oh, well, he's not getting interceptions. That means he's not doing his job. Well, they ain't been calling his name because he's been doing his due diligence. He's been doing what he needed to do on that field, day in, day out, week in, week out, batting the ball down, being in coverage, being there. Because some guys just get burned all day, every day. But Byron Jones don't get burned like that. Like I said before, everybody gets scored on here and there, but Byron Jones, outside of when he had his hip injury, when he first had his hip injury, it was at one point in time he wasn't even getting scored on at all. He was batting them balls down in the end zone. So, now you got to find out what to do with that production. But in my opinion, the Dolphins got a good guy. Now, they took a chance on picking him and paying him what they paid him, but they saw something in Byron Jones, because you know what it is, they say one man's trash is another man's treasure. So we just looked at Byron Jones, and I guess his coaching staff looked at him and was like, hey, we can get rid of him. We don't need him. We'll get somebody else. Maybe they have their own agenda. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know if they got a guy that they're looking in for free agency, Cliff Harris, or if they're looking at somebody in the draft. Who knows? But what I always tell people all the time when you get to the draft is, don't hedge your bets on pinning yourself into a corner that you have to, I got to get this position. If I don't get this position or this particular guy, we're going to be lost for the season. So you don't want to put yourself in a situation like that. You want to get a guy, make sure you have some solid guys in place. And if that guy hits at the draft, then pick him where you pick him. Now we're picking 17. Now we got plenty of time to talk about the draft. I'm getting into that right after this free agency stuff is over with. But you're going to have to get a safety and a corner now, because you lost a solid guy. Now, the Dolphins are getting a good guy. The Dolphins already have Xavier Howard. Xavier Howard is making $15 million a year. So he was, at the time, the highest paid corner, I believe. Now, Byron Jones is going to be the highest paid corner in the league. Now, I guess he signed today. So Byron Jones is now the highest paid corner in the league. And I know some of you guys scoff at that because you're like, he don't even get interceptions. It ain't about that. You see what teams are doing? Again, he had, I think, 4 teams wanted him. Eagles were one of them. Eagles put a bid in on him. And of course, he didn't want to go to the Eagles because he doesn't want to go to a division rival, because he still cares about the Dallas Cowboys. He doesn't want to play against his team that often. So he went all the way to the Dolphins, which are not even in the conference. So that's how you do it. Now, you look at that. He went to Florida because there's no sales tax like in Texas. So he's not losing anything there when it comes to money wise. That was smart thinking of him. The loss, I gotta learn how to say this. Not the Oakland Raiders, the Las Vegas Raiders. I have to train myself to say that now. The Las Vegas Raiders were looking for him too, because now they have our old defensive coordinator Marinelli. So Marinelli wanted him. The New York Giants were looking at him as well, because that's where Jason Garrett and company are. And they got our old secondaries coach Henderson up there too with the Giants. So a lot of these teams that had ties to the Dallas Cowboys first wanted them. Now the Eagles wanted them because, let's be honest with you, their secondary is trash. Basura, however you say it. You know what I'm saying. Trash. So at the same point, these are the teams we're looking at. He chose the Miami Dolphins, and with every right, because the Miami Dolphins made him the highest paid corner, and his contract is 5 years, $82.5 million, with $57 million guaranteed. Wow. Give me $1. Just give me $1. And check this out though. This is another thing too. 40 mil of that 57 mil guaranteed, 40 mil of it, he's gonna receive in his first 2 years of the contract. So if he stays with the Dolphins for the whole 5 years, his contract, to me, when I read this on paper, it just tells me this contract is front loaded, meaning that he gets most of his money in the first half of this contract. Between the first 2 and 3 years, he's getting most of his money. Now, the last few years, his contract is probably going to be, if you balance that out, it's probably going to be almost half less than what he's getting right now. But he's getting his money up front, and that's how you will and deal, baby. That's how they got him. They got him. They still got Xavier Howard. Hell, the Dolphins might be better this year. You look at a team like that, and what, they're picking first in the draft, so picking second in the draft, so they're right behind the Bengals. So the Bengals, they're getting Joe Burrow. So Dolphins got plenty of options there. Who they gonna get? So that's pretty much all I have. Let me know what you guys think about us losing Byron Jones and him going to the Miami Dolphins, getting that massive contract, and now being the highest paid cornerback in the league. Shout out to Byron Jones for that. I'm going to miss the kid, though. I really liked him. I loved his character. He was a stand-up guy. He was a guy that our old regime with Jason Garrett used to always say, the right type of guys. And he was that. And, I'm a root for him long as he's not playing against the Dallas Cowboys. But that's how free agency goes. You win some, you lose some, and we lost him. So now let's hopefully we keep Amari Cooper and we keep Quinn, and let's just get this rolling. And I know the Cowboys are probably going to be looking for a safety or a corner in free agency. Who knows who they pick up? Now, if history serves right with the Dallas Cowboys, we always get guys towards the end of free agency. We don't get that big splash guy. The last time we got a big splash corner was when we signed Brandon Carr away from the Kansas City Chiefs, and that $50 million that he got back then looks like chump change today. Because yeah, because Byron Jones' contract beats that out the water. Now, Brandon Carr's with the Ravens, and he's doing well with them. It just seems like this team before, let's see what this coaching staff can do with this team now. But before, we couldn't bust a grape with these players. We had good players, but didn't use them right. And they go to other teams, and they win Super Bowls. Anthony Hitchens, Morris Claiborne, Travarius Ward, Mike Weber. I mean, goddamn. You just Damian Wilson. You just you can't win. But it is what it is. I hope things change for Dallas Cowboys. Look here, guys. I understand how frustrating it is to see our team just sit back and procrastinate like this. We got to do better. But that's why they say it's hard being a Dallas Cowboy fan. And I tell people all the time, ain't no bandwagon when it comes to being a Dallas Cowboy fan. You got to want to be a fan of this team to appreciate it. So, shout out to me and the rest of us YouTubers that talk about the Cowboys 24/7, because it ain't easy being a fan of the Cowboys. I'm telling you, it's not, because we get a lot of bullshit, especially living here in the D.C., Maryland, Virginia area with all these Redskin fans and Ravens fans. So, it is what it is. But as I digress, let me know what you guys think about the Byron Jones getting signed to Miami Dolphins. It's your boy E2 Blue, always keeping it real. Talk to y'all soon. Have a great day.